Hi, 5th grade. So we are on week 5, day 2. Okay, so we're going to keep going with volume. So our objective for today is I can find the total volume of solid figures combined of 2 non-overlapping rectangular prisms. So basically we're going to be finding the volume of 2 rectangular prisms put together. Now, you may remember doing this in class. We worked in teams to solve as many as we could. So that's what we will be doing today. So for our daily fluency, it says count by cubic centimeters, complete the table. Okay, so we have, let me get my colors ready. Thought I did that. All right, so we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, so if I look here, I can see that we started at 10, 1,000, 1,000 centimeters, cubic centimeters, and 1 liter. All right. So here, I'm not totally sure what. Okay, so we have 2, we have 200, and then we have 200 cubic centimeters, and I also know that that is the same as 200 milliliters, okay? I'm honestly not sure if it wants you to do, I thought it wanted you to count by cubic centimeters, but it would have it twice, so I'm not really sure what, but you know, what it really wants in terms of milliliters or liters. I'm not really sure, so maybe it also just wants 200 cubic centimeters again. Because then this is 400 cubic centimeters, so yeah, I'm not really clear on that, honestly. Okay, so we have 4, so that's going to be, if we count 200, then next would come 400, then 600, then 800, then 1,000. Then we have 200 cubic centimeters, so obviously next we're going to have 400 cubic centimeters. Then we're going to have 600 cubic centimeters, and I'm assuming this goes on the bottom 2. And remember, this would be the same as 600 milliliters. Okay. 800 cubic centimeters. Same thing here. And then 1 liter or 1,000 cubic centimeters. Okay, now we're going to find the volume. Remember, the formula for volume is volume equals length times width times height. Okay, so here we have a length of 3 centimeters. Okay, a width of 4 centimeters and a height of 2 centimeters. Okay, 3 times 4 is going to give me 12 square centimeters times 2 centimeters. And I know that 12 times 2 is 24, so this is going to give me 24 cubic centimeters. Okay. Then here, again, I'm going to start with the length, 4 centimeters, times 4 centimeters the width, times 10 centimeters the height. 4 centimeters times 4 centimeters is going to give me 16 square centimeters times 10 centimeters. All right, and that's going to be equal to 160 cubic centimeters. All right. Okay. So, I'm really going to skip over this new learning page because I think it's kind of confusing if you sit here and read through all of this when we could just go on and explain, especially since you guys have done this before, and we could just work through the problems together. So basically, it's just talking about how we're going to solve a shape like this that is overlapping. So remember, this is kind of like when we did it in class, right? You want to think of these as 2 different shapes, right? So we have this shape down here, and then we have this this prism on top, right? So you really want to think of these as two different shapes, and you want to use what you have to figure out the length and the width of both cubes, okay, of both prisms. So for example, let me get rid of everything I just drew on there, right? We want to think of breaking them up into prisms, right? So we have prism A and prism B, and whichever way you want to label them is fine, it doesn't matter, right? And so this is where we would go through and we would say, okay, the dimensions of prism A are, the length is this, how long it is, so 6 inches. The width, how far back it goes, is 5 inches. And the height, how tall it is 4 inches, okay? Then I have prism B, okay? The length of this one is 3 inches. The width of prism B, how far back it goes. Well, it doesn't give me a width here, but I know that they are lined up on the same one. I can see that the width is the same, right? Before I drew that line, you could see that they are the same. So down at the bottom, if this is 5 inches, then I know that this is also 5 inches. So my width is 5 inches. And then my height, right here, it gives it to us, is 2 inches. Okay? So now that I know the dimensions for each one, I could go ahead and find the volume and then add the two volumes together, right? So for prism A, I'm not going to include my units just because I'm trying to just give an example. I'm going to have 6 times 5 times 4 inches, right? 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 times 4 is 120 cubic inches, right? Then I had prism B, and that would be 3 inches times 5 inches times 2 inches. This is going to give me 15 times 2, which is 30 cubic inches, right? Then I would go ahead and add them up together, the total. And I would say, okay, 120 cubic inches plus 30 cubic inches. And when I add that together, I get a total of, 150 cubic inches. Okay, so you should remember that from when we did it in class. All right, so again, this is basically what we just did. We found our volume of 150 cubic inches. Okay, so now we're going to go to the let's try. So it already filled out some of it for you. So basically here it said, okay, we are going to, so they had the first prism A right here, if this was, A and B, right? It has prism A right here. Let's think of this as in parentheses, and then plus prism B right here. And then it just found the total, which was 420, right? So on the next one, it's saying the length times the width times the height of shape 1 plus the length times the width times the height of shape 2. Okay, so it looks like they said this is shape 1 and this is shape 2, just by their dimensions. So there's really not a lot of room. They did not give you a lot of room to work this out. All right, so they said, okay, so for prism 1, and they gave us the volume right here. So for prism 1, we have, so this is prism 1. We have 7 inches times 4 inches times 3 inches. 7 times 4 inches is going to give me 28 cubic inches times 3 inches. Okay, and you can go over here to figure out what 28 times 3 is. Times 8 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, 7, 8. Right, so this is 84 cubic inches. All right, then we have prism 2. And they said that is 15 inches times 4 inches times 6 inches. Okay. 15 times 4 is going to give us 60 square inches times 6 inches. I'm going to use that basic fact. 6 times 6 is 36, times 10 is 360 cubic inches. Okay? So that was really just using that volume formula because it already gave you the dimensions. So they did the tricky part for you. Okay? So go ahead and go to the next page. And if I'm ever going too fast, feel free to pause me, rewind, any of those things. I'm just trying to get through in case you are just trying to go over it, and you can just go through it with me. But of course, if you need to work at a slower pace, that's totally fine. Do what is best for you. Okay? So now, where's the solution strategy? If you just want to show your formulas there, that's fine. Or if you do it somewhere else, that's totally fine. You don't have to write down what your solution was. I would be able to see that by seeing the way that you figured out your two equations and then added them together, right? So I'm going to look here. Let's look at this first problem, okay? So I'm going to label this Prism A and Prism B. Now, if you did it backwards, that's totally okay, as long as you still got the same answer. It doesn't really matter which one you label. Okay, so starting with Prism A, again, I'm going to find the dimensions here, okay? So, actually, you know what? I'm going to do that up above so I have some more room. Okay, so Prism A, we have a length of 10 centimeters right there. Okay, we have a width of 3 centimeters. And we have a height of 2 centimeters. All right, that one was easy. They gave it to us. Okay, now we're going to do Prism B, find the dimensions. Okay, the length, how long it is. So I could look here for the length, I could look here for the length, I could look here for the length. Any of those are going to tell me how long it is, but I don't have the length. Okay, so let me see what else I can use. So I know that this whole length right here is 10 centimeters, right? I also know that this section right here is 6 centimeters. So if this whole thing is 10, and this part right here is 6, how much is left to give me this section for the length right here, right? Well, I know 10 minus 6, or 6 plus what gives me 10, is going to give me 4. So that means my dimension right here, my length, is going to be 4 centimeters. Okay? So my length is 4 centimeters. Then I'm going to say, okay, the width. Now, again, I don't see a width giving it me right here, but I do see that down here is 3 centimeters, and I can see that it's the same width. So the width is still going to be 3 centimeters. And then the height, how tall is it? All right, I can see that right here, it went ahead and gave it to me. It is 4 centimeters tall. Okay. So now I'm going to find the volume of my two prisms. So I'm going to start with Prism A. So volume A, and I'm going to say 10 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 2 centimeters. And that's going to give me 30 square centimeters, okay, times 2 centimeters. I'm going to ask myself, okay, what's 30 times 2? 30 times 2, 3 times 2 is 6. And then times 10, because I have 1 0, is 60 cubic centimeters. So that is my volume for Prism A. Okay. Then I'm going to find the volume of Prism B. Right. I'm going to run out of room, I feel like. Volume B. Okay, so now I have, let me go back up. Where are my dimensions? There they are. So I have 4 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 4 centimeters. Block that off. All right, 4 centimeters times 3 centimeters is going to give me 12 square centimeters times 4 centimeters. Okay, 12 times 4 is going to give me 48 cubic centimeters. So now I have my volume for prism A and prism B. So to find the combined volume, the total volume, I'm going to say 60 cubic centimeters plus 48 cubic centimeters, and add those two together. 8 plus 0 is 8, 6 plus 4 is 10, so that gives me 108 cubic centimeters as my total volume. Okay, zooming back out so you can see the whole thing. Okay, go ahead and pause here if you need to make some changes, corrections. All right, moving on to the next one. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. So I have prism A and prism B. Okay. Again, the dimensions for prism A. Okay. I can see that this has a length of 10 right here. So I know that my length for prism A is going to be 10 meters. All right, I can see that it has a width of 3, how far back it goes, 3 meters. So I'm gonna write my width is 3 meters. And I can see that it has a height of 6 meters. So it gave me all those dimensions. Didn't have to figure that out. Okay, prism B. So let's go ahead and try to find that length. So prism B, this is the length, okay? Any of these. So I don't have dimensions there, but I do have one here, which is also the length. So the length is going to be 8 meters. Okay. The width, how far back it goes, again, I don't see anything right here, but I can see that these are the same widths, and I know that this is 3 meters down here. So that means the width of prism B is also going to be 3 meters. And then the height, okay? I don't see anything that gives me a height here, here, or here. But I do see that this whole thing right here is 12 meters. So if that is 12 meters, and we know that the height of prism A is 6 meters, then that means what's left to equal 12 has to be 6 meters, because 6 plus 6 equals 12. So that means my height for prism B is 6 meters. Okay, so now I'm going to go down and start finding my volumes. So, all right, so let's do prism A first. The volume of prism A, I'm going to use my dimensions. So I have 10 meters times 3 meters times 6 meters. 10 times 3 is 30 square meters times 6 meters. All right, think, how can I solve 30 times 6? I'm going to pull out that basic fact. I know that 3 times 6 is going to give me 18. Then I'm going to multiply this by 10 because I have a 0. So that's going to give me 180 cubic meters for volume A. Okay, next I have volume B. All right, and the dimensions here were 8 meters times 3 meters times 6 meters. 8 meters times 3 meters is going to give me 24 square meters times 6 meters. All right, I'm going to go up here, 24 times 6. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12, 13, 14. So that's going to give me 144 cubic meters. All right, so remember, I'm not done yet because I have to now find the total volume of prism A and prism B. So to do that, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add 180 cubic meters and 144 cubic meters. And when I add that together, I'm still going to get cubic meters. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And 1, 2, 3. That gives me a total of 324 cubic meters. Okay, zooming back out so you can see all of it all together. I know it's a lot of work, but if you just go one step at a time, it comes out completely fine. It's just about breaking it down into what you know and what you need to find out. Okay, moving on to our last page, challenge problem. A sculpture pictured below is made of two sizes of rectangular prisms. One size measures 13 inches by 8 inches by 2 inches. The other size measures 9 inches by 8 inches by 18 inches. What is the total volume of the sculpture? So the first one, so sculpture 1, or prism 1, it says it has 13 inches by 8 inches by 2 inches. Okay. Prism 2 has 9 inches by 8 inches by 18 inches. And if you're like, Ms. Cacciabata, how do I know when they say that what the length, the width, and the height is if it just says by? That's how it's that's how it's said. So when someone says it's 9 inches by 8 inches by 18 inches, it's always in that order. They're usually giving you the length, the width, and the height. Just like if they said it's 9 inches by 8 inches, you would assume that they mean the length is 9 inches, the width is 8 inches. Okay. So now I'm going to find the volume of the individual prisms, just like we did before. So volume 1 is going to be 13 inches times 8 inches times 2 inches. Okay, 13 inches times 8 inches. We'll go over here. 3 times 8 is 24. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 2, 9, 10. That is 104 cubic inches, or square inches, I'm sorry, times 2 inches. Okay, so now I need to know 104 times 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. That's going to give me 208 cubic inches for the volume of prism 1. Okay, volume 2. Again, I'm going to use that formula, 9 inches times 8 inches times 18 inches. Okay, 9 inches times 8 inches is going to give me 72 square inches times 18 inches. Okay, so when I multiply that, 72 times 18, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 7 is 56, plus 1 is 57. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 7 is 7. When I add that together, I'm going to get 6, 9, 12. So 1,296. So that's going to give me a total of 1,296 cubic inches. Okay. Now remember, I'm still not done because those are the two volumes of the sculpture, of the prisms in the sculpture, but I want to know the total volume. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, okay, total volume. I'm going to add 1,296 cubic inches and 208 cubic inches. I'm going to add those together. 8 plus 6, 14. 9 plus 1 is 10. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And 1 plus 0 is 1. So that's going to give me 1,504 cubic inches as my total. And because this is a word problem, I need to write my answer in a statement. So going back up, what is the total volume of the sculpture? Write that in a statement. the total volume is 1,504 cubic inches. Okay, so there you go. There's that. I will be back later with the next video. Go ahead and make sure you make any corrections. Don't forget, if you need those anchor charts, they're up on Microsoft Teams. And please reach out to me if you need anything. All right, I will see you guys later.